Zach Life. Beat Depression. It's day 881, and we're back to have some fun with another somatic healing session to wipe out depression. Thank you so much, everybody, for being there now. Anyone who's tuning in later, appreciate you guys and girls out there. As you know, it's a martial arts for mental health show. We like to focus in on those mental health tools first. And the first tool we usually cover on every show is powerful mental health tool of gratitude. The more you use it, the more powerful it can become in your life, helping you focus on those silver linings and pick out those things to be grateful for even when you're going through hard times. So first piece of gratitude going out to HNW Tick. Thanks for being here. Appreciate your support. And to anybody else who's tuning in a little bit later, there's Lisa the Luminary. Appreciate you. You're part of the gratitude section today. Also want to shout out gratitude to Hope to Courage for having us as part of this 21-day movement, this 21-day program that they've put together, 21 days of gratitude, to move people from hope to courage, to conquer their fears and help them move forward, empower them with different mental health tools. If you missed it, you just about missed it. If you're just hearing about it now, check out hopetocourage.com. You'll find links to all the free resources that are being shared to help empower one another out there. So I want to shout out gratitude to them. You're part of our gratitude section today. Go ahead and think about your pieces of gratitude, and that'll help put you in that positive mindset, like I said, as we move into the lesson. Second mental health tool we're going to cover is progress tracking tool. It's been 881 days of progress and success for me, the Sack Man. Let me know how many days it's been for you. Another one of those tools that the more you keep track of it, the more powerful it can become in your life, leading to more validation, self-validation that nobody else can take away from you because you're the one who gives it to yourself. This is your proof. This is your solid physical proof that you are stronger than the debilitating effects of depression, because as a matter of fact, if you have participated in this show or you got up and accomplished your daily goal, each and every day you do that, you have factual proof that you can do that right in the face of anything that's trying to tell you otherwise. So please do keep track of that number. It's incredibly empowering. It's helped me keep track of how far I've come in regards to overcoming suicidal ideation, overcoming debilitation, overcoming the clinical side of depression. So please do keep track of that number for you. And if you got it, share it, because it's one of the best ways we can inspire one another to make progress and help other people find the tools that work for them. That being said, those are our two main mental health tools we start every show with. Now we're going to get into the lesson. It's day 20. We've only got one day left in our 21-day program, and we've covered a little taste of each of the art of 8 limbs in Muay Thai. We finished up yesterday with the outside roundhouse, the outside low roundhouse, and today we'll get into the inside low roundhouse. It's a little bit different. I'll show you different ways you can approach that, different ways you can integrate that in your training, whether it's shadowboxing or with that somatic healing tool known as the heavy bag, or if it's in a sparring situation. So you'll be equipped with multiple ways to execute that inside low roundhouse. I'll show you how to do those. We'll break that down, and then we'll get into another standard 3 rounds, 3 minutes each, 1 minute breaks in between to catch your breath. Drink some water, check in on you, make sure you're not pushing too hard. Shout out to Alfonso. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate you. So we covered our tools. Let's get into that low inside roundhouse kick. And before we start, if you are working with a heavy bag as your somatic healing tool, when you're practicing your striking, right, and you're practicing your different kicks, you want to try and land them with accuracy. You want to try and imagine your opponent here and execute those kicks in the areas where you would want actually land them in a real life situation, whether it's self-defense, sparring, or with that Bob training tool, or with your visualized shadowboxing target. So with the bag, you'll notice right now, my knee is about the height of the bottom of the bag, which means that this section right here is exactly where that leg meat is that we want to target with low kicks. So when we're throwing low kicks, if you got a bag, you can check by standing next to it, mark your heights, right? Mark your striking zones. And when you're practicing these kicks, like we practiced the roundhouse the other day, we want to throw the roundhouse to that midsection underneath the ribs. Achoo! Oi! Excuse me. You want to throw that roundhouse to the midsection underneath the ribs, so you can kind of imagine where that is. And when you're tossing your roundhouse, step off the line and drive through that midsection. So with the low roundhouse kicks, we're targeting this leg meat here above the knee, below the hip. We don't want to hit the bone. We want to hit the muscle here on the side. And we want to use our shin as a contact surface. So we're using the bone of our shin, the hardest part of our leg, to contact, push, that nice soft leg meat. So it's going to do a lot of damage. It's going to cause a lot of pain for our opponent and very little damage, very little pain for us. So yesterday we talked about the low outside roundhouse kick. And we talked about how you want to sink into it, right? On a flat foot, turn through, push, drive through the hips, roll those hips over, and chop the arm. Now when you're standing in orthodox stance and you want to execute an inside low roundhouse kick, that's going to come from your lead leg. And if we just stand right here in our balanced stance and we try to throw that lead leg as a low roundhouse kick, we can do it, right? You can do it, but it's not going to be very effective. It's not going to be very powerful because there's a very short distance for it to cover. So there's not a lot of room to speed that leg up. There's not a lot of room to generate power or generate force. So what a lot of people like to do, and there's a lot of different ways to throw this inside leg kick, there's not one right way. Find those ways that are more natural and more comfortable for you, and those ways that you find you're more effective with your natural ability, and then use those. When you first start, your goal should be develop skill, develop balance, and have fun, right? When our target is mental resiliency and building ourselves up, we want to have fun. So go with the way when you first start that's most comfortable for you. And then once you get your balance down, you get form down, and you're kind of just casually throwing leg kicks, boom, and you got the hip rotation there, and it's all fun. Then you can start increasing your skill level and increasing your challenge by thinking about defense and real world application and these other things. But today let's talk about two different ways to throw that inside low roundhouse kick to the leg knee. So the first one that a lot of people like to use is known as the pendulum step. So if you're in your orthodox stance here, orthodox Muay Thai position, what we're going to do to execute the pendulum step is we're going to take our rear foot and we're going to kind of hop forwards and put our rear foot where our front foot was. As we raise that front foot and turn through, boom, turn through the hips and execute that roundhouse kick. Now when we do that, we want to put rotation in it. So you want to start that rotation as you step forwards, reaching across your opponent, right? If it's the shadow boxing dummy, reach across as you step, and that's going to let you generate some momentum here from the top down, and then you're going to torque through. Boom. Torque through and extend that leg right through that leg meat of your opponent. So this is the pendulum step. From our orthodox stance here, we're going to hop forwards, boom, and toss through the hip, chopping that arm, same thing, targeting that leg meat, making sure we rotate through the hip, right? You can practice this in your balanced stance. Just practice dropping the arm, chopping that arm down, and turning the hip over. That's what we need to do to execute that low inside kick. So with the pendulum step, it also allows you to cover a little bit of different distance, boom, and you can start really turning it into an advancing technique by kind of putting a hop in there, and then bringing it back. Now, if you're working with the shadow boxing dummy and you're visualizing that target, you're still chopping through that leg meat section, but you can do it two ways. You can chop to the meat, and then bring it back, boom, back in the stance, or you can chop through, and bring it all the way around. I like to chop through when I'm shadow boxing. It's more it simulates more chopping through that leg of your opponent. But if you want a quick, snappy, low inside kick, you can just toss it straight out there and not have that full follow through and rotation on the back leg. Now that's the first way that you can execute that inside leg kick. The second way that you can execute that inside leg kick, and this is my preferred way, is with an angle change, and it puts a little rotation into it. Now it should be mentioned too, you could add a switch. That would really increase the power. But with a switch, you've got a lot more distance and a lot more tail going on. So you're going to need to cover that up with hands or something else to make it effective. But if you do a gear change or an angle change and you work that low inside kick into your movement, it's a really fun way to keep people off guard, to catch them off guard, and kind of make it a much more powerful, much more effective kick. So the way that's going to work is from our orthodox stance here, squared up, hips and shoulders with our target. We're throwing hands, we're doing our thing. What we're going to do here is take that rear foot and step the rear foot off the line out on a diagonal angle, right? So we're changing our angle. Some people call it a gear change. And from our balance stance, we're going to take that rear foot, step it off the angle. And from here, I like to reach across the face, distract them with the hand, right? And then from there, chop through from that rear angle. Woof! Boom. Chop through and drive through that hip. Now you see the bag swinging a lot more impact, a lot more power, because I'm working in, boom, that gear change. So the other cool thing about it is it takes you off the center line, makes you more elusive. It's a much more deceptive tactic. It usually catches them. So far in my experience in sparring, you can usually catch them off guard. Nobody expects that inside kick to happen when you're moving around, changing angles, changing gears. So that's the way I like to execute it. I'll be having fun here. I'll be flowing. I'll step off that line, and that's when I start to torque everything up. Step off the line with the rear foot and reach across, right? And then toss through the hip again, rolling that hip over. Wuss! And bringing it all the way through, chopping all the way around. Now remember the hip rotation, very important. Rotate that hip as you chop the arm. That's going to generate the torque. That's going to help us get the right angle so that we can connect with that shin bone and chop right through that leg knee. And again, when you're working with this tool, make sure you're targeting the proper zones. If it's a body kick, make sure you're targeting the body. Boom. If it's a leg kick, a low kick, make sure you're targeting that leg knee, and that'll make you more accurate and more prepared for a sparring situation and a self-defense situation. So that is it. That's a breakdown on our low inside leg kick. Two options there: the pendulum step, bang, or the gear change, whoosh, and around. That's going to make you more versatile. You have more fun in your training routine, get more creative with it, and also enjoy testing out those different power levels of those different kicks and see where one might be slower or faster, one might be more powerful, one might be weaker. There's always a trade-off. There's always pros and cons. There's no one way to execute these techniques. It's about you creating your own style, finding your way, your martial arts journey, and your martial arts style as you develop those tools. All right, that being said, we are going to get into our 3 rounds. We'll have some music going, motivating us with fighting spirit from the 80s, and we're going to flow through it this time. We're going to focus on that low round inside kick using the pendulum and the gear change, and by the end, we'll just be flowing through, linking all those 8 tools that we've learned over the last 20 days together. So get ready to have some fun. Visualize your opponent, visualize your target, assign it the name of the thing you want to work on. If it's depression or anxiety, make it the depression dummy or the anxiety dummy, and we're going to knock those lies out of its stupid face today together. Let's do it. Bang. 3, 2, boom. Let's go. Yeah. Make sure you got water. You're breathing in the nose and out the mouth. And you're not pushing too hard. It's very important. Present yourself with a challenge to your skill level. As that level increases, increase that challenge. Let's square up and start with the fundamentals again, just to warm up. Start moving around in your balanced stance, visualizing that Muay Thai opponent, Muay Thai position here. Keep the guard tight, chin tucked, and start throwing those 1-2s. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Turning those fists over. Exhaling on the strikes. Chin tucked. Defense by the brow line. Turn that fist over. Turn through the body when executing those straight strikes. And start moving around with it. Just warming up here. Us. Exhale. On that strike. Turn those fists over. Visualize the target, making contact with the large 2 knuckles, squeezing at the point of impact. And back to stance. Start working your movement in there. Forwards movement. Bam. Backwards movement. Stay dangerous. In all directions. If you're a beginner, stay right here, squared up with that visualized target. In your nice tight, balanced Muay Thai stance, and execute right from there. Just twisting through. Stepping in for the jab, rotating on the ball, that back foot for the cross. And focus on form. Balance. Technique. Keep that guard tight. And start working with that low inside roundhouse. Coming from the lead foot, we're going to start with the pendulum step technique. So we're gonna hop forwards, raising that foot, reaching across, right? We replace the front foot with the rear foot, and then we rotate through the hip and chop through that leg meat, targeting this section right here above that knee. Visualize it on that opponent. They're standing in orthodox stance. They got that leg sticking out there in front of you. Let's do it. Pendulum step in, boom, and toss through the hip, bam, right through, all the way through if you'd like. Rotating on the ball of that back foot, or just straight to, snappy, straight to the inside of that leg. Let's do it again. Pendulum step into low round, just with a snap, and then bring it back to orthodox, all the way back to orthodox stance. Bang, bang, bang. Work the hands, visualize the target, pendulum step in, boom, turn through the hip, chop in the arm, and then bring it all the way back. Boom, bang, bang, bang. Exhale on those strikes. Same thing with the pendulum step. Exhale as you turn. Hey, that's gonna activate the core, put more power into it. Back to stance. Pendulum step in, low round, and back out. Boom, boom. Back to orthodox. This time, practice the pendulum step, but follow through. Rotating on the ball of the rear foot. Let's do it together. Pendulum step in, follow through, and all the way back into orthodox or southpaw stance, whichever you like. Guard tight. Bang, bang, bang. Pendulum and rotate through. Hey, back out. That's the end of round one. Catch your breath, drink some water, check in on you. Shout out to Psycho Thinker, Sunshine and Rainbows, and everybody else tuning in to support the cause. Appreciate you guys and girls out there. We're building free mental health care through martial arts for the world. Thank you so much for being a part of it. It really means a lot to me. It's very hard to find support for free mental health care for some reason. I thought when I started this 881 days, it would be a cakewalk. Like, who wouldn't want free mental health care? But apparently it's very difficult to find people to be open, to support it, to be public about it. So thank you for breaking that stigma, showing up, not just to support yourself, but also to support others. And even if you don't need it, just to be here as a support system to those who do need it. Thank you for being there. That being said, 7 seconds. Pop back into stance. And we're going to practice that alternative low inside roundhouse kick. The one I like the most, it's the gear change. So back into your stance, working those hands a little bit. Bang, bang, bang. Stay fluid. And now we're going to gear change. We're going to change direction here. Taking that rear foot, stepping it off the line diagonally, right? Taking kind of a side step here. And then we're going to toss through the hip. Boom, all the way around and back to stance. Back to our balanced position. Visualize that opponent. And start to work creative hands. Boom, 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 boom. Think about what feeds what flows together. And use those hands creatively. Ba, ba, ba. At your pace. Remember, don't compete with me. Compete with yourself. I already got my high intensity training in for the day. This is all my bonus rounds. So if you didn't give yourself a challenge yet, let this be your challenge. All right, gear change. We're going to take that rear foot, step it off the line, reaching across the head. We're going to torque through the hip, turning that hip over as we chop the arm and sending that leg through the leg meat of our opponent. Let's do it. Back to stance. Gear change, stepping off the line and toss through the hip. Boom, all the way around. And keep the hands going. Let's go. Visualize that target. Pop, pop, pop. If you've got a bag, work with the bag. Start executing. Whether it's your pendulum step in, right? Bang. Or if it's that gear change. Bang, bang, bang. Step off the line. And gear change. Bang. And drive through that hip. Bang, 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 bang. You can land out off of that inside leg kick. You can bring it back to orthodox stance. You can bring it back to southpaw stance and start firing from southpaw. It's all about you and keeping that routine creative, keeping it a challenge. Whether it's a challenge technically or it's a challenge at intensity. Step in, pendulum step, gear change, both low inside roundhouse kicks, both effective. Pendulum, boom, Back to stance. Gear shift. Bang. Back to stance. Hus, hus, hus. Keep that guard tight by the brow line. Execute those strikes. Pendulum step. Bang. Bring it back. Gear change. Bang. Send it through. Bang, bang, bang. Keep moving. Visualize that target. Knock those lies out of that depression dummy's face. And give yourself a challenge. Woo! You can use that outside round. Oh, that's the end of round 2. Round 3, we'll mix it all together. Use everything you'd like. Make your routine about you. What do you enjoy? If you got a bag, kick that bag the way that feels the best. Leg kicks are one of my favorite techniques to use on the back. It gets you a full body workout, burn crazy calories, get a really good release of anxiety, frustration, and stress. And it'll build you up physically and mentally very quickly. Shout out to Watasha. Hey, it's good to see you, brother. Thank you so much for tuning in. We got 25 seconds. We're gonna hit this final round in which you're gonna use all those tools we practiced over the last 20 days to make that routine your own. Hands, elbows, knees, shins. Use them all. Use what works. Use what you enjoy. And let's do this thing. We're almost done with this 21-day program. Shout out to Tanea. Thanks for being here. Square up with your visualized opponent or your heavy bag if you got it. And start firing away with those different weapons. Jab. Oh. Toss elbows. Get creative with it. What flows into what? Boom, boom, boom. Make it about you. Use the teeth. Push. Push kick. Open up that gap. Push. Rear teeth. Lead teeth. Boom, boom, boom. Roundhouse to the body. Hush. Hush, hush, hush. Inside round. Inside low round. Either way. Pendulum step. Boom. Or gear shift. Whoosh. Hey, back to stance. Hush, hush, hush. Whoosh. Work the knees. Push knee. Long knee, right? Straight knee. Angled knee. Whoosh. Give yourself that challenge. Straight knee. Hush. Elbow strike. What feeds what? Boom. Roundhouse. Roundhouse to the body. Hush, hush, hush. Cover it up with hands. Boom. 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 Go as fast or as slow as works for you to give yourself that challenge. Remember to exhale through those strikes. Hey. All right, work that low inside. Low roundhouse from the outside. Boom. You can work with the bag as it swings. Use those different ranged attacks, right? Long range, across, long range, around. When the bag comes close, hit it with a close range tool, an elbow, whoosh, a knee strike, whoosh, have fun with it, whoosh, give yourself a challenge, whoosh, and work those leg kicks. Let's go. Keep moving. Work movement in there. Keep it going. Whether it's the bag or the depression dummies. Keep fighting for you. Keep it going. Keep your balance. Put that energy in. Put that challenge in. You deserve what you give. Give it 100%. Let's go. Ooh, that's the end. Oi. That's the end of round 3. I hope you challenge yourself to your skill level. Whew. I know I did. Like I said, I've been training for an hour already. at high intensity with the bag. So I have some footage for you guys coming up a little bit later. Ooh, and this whole thing was my bonus round. So if that was not your bonus round, and you didn't get the challenge that you deserve for the day, give yourself a bonus round. Get out there, whether it's heavy bag time, quality time with Bob, ooh, or just more high intensity shadow boxing. Give yourself what you deserve. We can't grow in the comfort zone, so get out of that comfort zone. Get uncomfortable with growth. Get uncomfortable with progress. And then you'll be able to reward yourself for moving forwards, for your strength, for your resiliency, for your endurance. And you can give yourself that proof. You can guarantee yourself that progress every day that you show up for you and challenge you to your level. Shout out to Grateful Happy Life. Shout out to UFC Worldwide. Thanks for being here. Shout out to Maria Brown and Leston's World. And yeah, I think that's everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here, for supporting the cause, for supporting free mental health care through martial arts. We got one more day on this 21-day of gratitude routine tomorrow. And then we're going to get back into more advanced elite striking combos in our practice. And we're going to pull away from these basic breakdowns of those fundamentals. But if you guys missed this or you're tuning in now, we're going to have all those 21 days up and available for you at any time that you'd like to equip yourself with those tools, both on our IGTV page and also on YouTube at Sack Life Daily. So don't forget, you can tune in there and beat depression at your own discretion. Until next time, I'll catch you guys and girls. Same Sack time, same Sack channel, same Sack Life. Sack Man out. Whew. Hey.